So we've got Claude all set up, working how we want it to work, helping us smash out our tasks. So we're kicking goals all day long and we're off to the races, right? Well, you might have spotted the obvious problem when it comes to working in a real world business, and that's the fact that we don't work in a real world business all by ourselves. We have colleagues to consider and oftentimes collaborate with, and it's more complicated than you might think to have collaboration with our colleagues as well as our AI assistants and their AI assistants. There's some intuitive things that might jump out at you, but oftentimes they introduce problems themselves. Let's dive into it. So you might be thinking, the answer is obvious. My files are stored in Google Drive or SharePoint, so surely I just connect Claude to those storage providers and we're away laughing and we can collaborate with our colleagues. But unfortunately, the connectors out of the box don't actually serve that purpose and they potentially introduce another problem. Let's just quickly take a look at my own connector here to Microsoft 365, which I connected for this video. And the same issue is true for the Google connector and the other major storage connectors as well. So on face value, when you're browsing for connectors, it looks like access to SharePoint and OneDrive, and that's exactly what we want. But unfortunately, that's all it is. It's access to, so it can read your data, but it can't actually, if you look at here, it says read only tools. There's no tools or permissions that give it access to actually write, which is the part of Claude or CoWork that actually helps us assist with our work without that copy and paste cycle. And the problem that it introduces is potential accidental data exposure. So potentially you have staff that have access to a SharePoint or Google folder or library that has sensitive information in it they shouldn't have access to. It just happens to be an oversight that's been going on for ages and no one's aware of it. And the problem is that LLMs are very good at surfacing information. Even when it's just supplementary to the query that the user made, they tend to respond quite verbosely, and you might have an embarrassing situation if you surface perhaps someone else's HR information to a user inadvertently. Now, I'm not saying never connect to all this, and the way to actually connect to these storage drives is with custom MCP servers, which is something that if you're on the managed Claude plans, we can absolutely help with. There's also a simpler way with no friction that you don't need to do a massive data or permission sanity project ahead of time. Let's take a look at those options. So despite what I've just been saying about the SharePoint and OneDrive and Google Cloud connectors, I'm still going to advocate for those cloud storage providers as the place that we store our work. Not least because it's the place that we probably already store our work, but it's probably the least friction way to sort of get up and running. The key here is that we're going to use them in a synced folder type pattern. So that's really as simple as it sounds. We're going to sync it down to our local machines, which most of us will already do, but I am aware that some people use these drives just out of their browser windows. And if that's you, then the time is now to go and download the desktop application and sync the folders that you want to work on down to your local machine. Now, this pattern does introduce some of its own problems, which are overcome by and large by technologies like GitHub, but that comes with its own very technical learning curve and is really outside the scope of this series. Let's jump over to a project that we worked on earlier in this series and take a look at the sync folder pattern in action. So this is just back in my own Claude desktop, and I'm in a CoWork project, and this project is about HybrIT NZ strategy. And one of the tasks or conversations that I had with it is about compliance. And you can see that in this project, we've got a number of folders connected over the right here. One of them is compliance, and it's got a bunch of stuff in it that we had already worked on. Now, if I bring up that folder, just bring it onto the screen, you can see that that folder here, compliance, is indeed synced from a cloud provider. You can tell that by these little ticks, which is indicative of sort of the OneDrive client. Now, let's say I have a colleague who doesn't actually need to work on the entire project, the HybrIT strategy, they're just the compliance officer in the business. So I'm going to just drag in, by way of example, a machine that I'm remotely connected to. And I'm sure that I'm remotely connected here because in this instance that's on my screen now, I'm logged in with my chris.turk@hybrit.co.nz account. And as I bring this other instance onto the screen here, I'm logged into Claude Desktop on a totally different desktop. And if I go to the settings here, you can see that I'm logged in as at chris@christurk.com, part of the same organization. And this setup has really had no conversation so far. It's pretty much blank. And I've synced on the same machine, like a colleague might have in their own SharePoint, the compliance or the wider folder structure, and they have access to this compliance folder. So what I can do then is just go into my project and choose a folder and connect to that folder, if I can find it here. And now that colleague is ready to work on the compliance aspect of this project. That all sounds well and good, but what about collisions? So what do I mean by collisions? It's a problem that's been around for a long time and solved in various ways by different technologies. If you've used the OneDrive client before, you will have noticed if you open up a Office-based document, so a Word doc, Excel, or PowerPoint, that your colleague also opens, you can often see their cursor or pointer moving around, and you can actually see the document get editing live. And that's all well and good for an Office document, or maybe in Google Workspace if you've got a document open in your browser, but that doesn't extend to, say, Markdown files or HTML or any other type of artifacts or assets that we might produce with Claude CoWork, and it also doesn't really work with Claude CoWork. I want to try and show you this in action, and I'm going to try my best to generate what might be a real-world collision. And offline, I've gone ahead and had a little bit of a conversation with Claude and had it create a document, which is to do with this AI management systems ISO certification. And I didn't really pay attention to what the document was, but I've gone ahead and opened it here, and it's actually produced a really nice document with relation to compliance, but it's not in my company branding guidelines. And also, let's say my other colleague noticed that it's referring to some EU regulation, and I want to remove that because we're based in New Zealand. So I'm going to try my best here to create the collision. Here I am on the virtual machine talking to Claude, and I'm going to say, we are in NZ, please remove reference to EU regulation. And it might push back here because there might be some reason why I did it. But over here in my local copy of Claude, I'm going to say, please update this document, and I'll give it the document name, to use HybrIT brand guidelines. So I've got my two prompts ready, and let's imagine that my head of strategy here doesn't like the document branding, so goes ahead and tells Claude to edit the document. And then also on the machine, the person that works in compliance is updating it with regards to its actual content. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that play out and see what happens on the other side. So I'm sort of in the middle of creating this conflict here, and I just wanted to quickly show you what's happened so far. So to date, both chats have finished their task, but I've got two different copies of the file. So the version on my sort of remote machine that created the document in the first place finished a lot faster, and I can see here from this little render that it has indeed updated the document exactly as I asked, and it's replaced the EU regulation portion with the NZ Privacy Act sort of portion. And here on my local machine, or on that local machine, I've got a document that was created at 11:40 a.m., but it's still not in my branding guidelines. And then locally on the machine that I'm actually sitting at, if I go find that same file here we go, bring it on the screen. I've got a file that was created 2 minutes later, and it is in my brand guidelines. And if I just scroll down to that piece about the regulation, interestingly, with my brand guidelines, it realized I was in New Zealand, so it's got the Privacy Act, but it's still got the EU regulation. So I'm just going to now pause the video and wait to see how OneDrive handles this conflict, and I'll come back and see how it's played out. So it was taking too long for OneDrive to resolve its things. So what I thought I'd do is I just go to the source of truth, which is the server side or backend, by opening it in my browser and seeing what's actually happened. So here's the document here, and I can tell you even immediately by looking at the date modified, is it's simply taken the copy that finished second. So if I open this here and go to open in my app, and it'll open up, you can see that I've got the HybrIT branded document, which looks lovely, but it still has the EU regulation. So what's in effect happened here is the person who did their work first, and in my case, the compliance officer, has effectively lost their work, and it's just been overwritten. Now, for me, there's really three ways that we can go about trying to solve this problem. The first of which is simply coordination with your teammates. If you're working on a folder or a project where it's just you, or maybe one other person, or perhaps two other people, maybe max a team of three, kind of able to coordinate when you're going to work on certain things and perhaps not step on each other's toes. This doesn't really scale. If we have a bit of a bigger team to consider, then I think we need to set some standards around naming conventions and probably number versioning. So if you've seen documents that are V1 or V1.1 or 1.1.3 or whatever, that kind of thing is going to help out. But if we're on version 1.1 and two people both open it up and create the next version, so they both create version 1.2, we still have the same problem because it's still going to take the last saved version 1.2. So you might need to end up with a convention where it will be your versioning and your initials. So for me, I might create version 1.2 underscore KT, and there's a convention there to see that I've updated and somebody else potentially updated the document to the same version, and you could probably create a Claude skill that is then able to merge the same versions. And this is actually kind of what happens at the back end of GitHub. And again, I don't want to get into the details of GitHub, but you've basically created different branches of the same document that need to be merged. So you can actually have Claude just merge it for you, create a skill. It's something that you're going to have to probably do a lot. Go ahead and put that into practice and let me know how you get on. So that's really all I wanted to cover, but the practical thing that I want you to do this week and at the end of this video is within your business is to agree on how you're going to approach these things, or at least potentially within a single project with your colleagues, decide whether you're going to coordinate and take turns, or if you are going to have a naming convention, the practical task is to actually agree on what that convention is, and secondly, create a skill in Claude that's going to help you merge these files and go ahead and put this into action. Even if it's just a fictional scenario test, the best thing to do is test before you get into production and actually cause a problem. So along with a colleague, go ahead, create different versions of the same document and see if you can have Claude merge them back together. And hopefully you can see how you can all collaborate together with your virtual assistants and create amazing documents. That's it for this video and really for this playlist about Claude Desktop and Claude AI. In the following series, I'm quite likely to do a Claude Code course. Let me know in the comments if that's going to help you out. Otherwise, thank you so much for spending your time. I know how valuable your time is, which is kind of the point of using AI assistants and automations and all this good stuff, is to help us get some of it back. If this content is helping you, this sort of no BS, no hype, and hopefully practical application of how to actually adopt AI into your job role, into your business is helping you, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps me massively make these videos. Until the next one, have a good one.